So, over the past week and a half here, we have seen winter finally decide to show up. And we are going to be seeing another wintry system moving across the country over this weekend. And we could be seeing some ski resort snow as well as a general swath of decent snowfall across the central U.S. So, let's get right on into it. This is the NAM, and we're going to be looking at it today. So, we have this low pressure here in Montana, bringing snowfall to many of the Rocky Mountain states, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. It starts to stretch down through Saturday into Colorado, but also start to eject into the central U.S., South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and even into Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan. In general, these areas are going to get a short burst of moderate to heavy snowfall. It's kind of like a clipper system, but a little bit more organized. So we see that little swath of snow push through. Then our secondary threat starts to fire up, and that is heavy rainfall. You can see it start to show up here. This is right around Sunday at midnight. So you can see here some heavier rainfall in Arkansas that starts to expand into the southern U.S. You can see cities including Birmingham and New Orleans and Jackson and Atlanta, as well as maybe even Jacksonville, Columbia, South Carolina, even into the Raleigh-Durham area, getting some heavier precipitation. And all of this ends up with these two things, snow and rain. Starting off with snow, we have heavier snowfall totals here in the Rockies, maybe even over a foot, which, guess was 3 weeks away? President's Day weekend, which is a huge skiing weekend. So it looks like the West may be the place to be, because winter is basically given up in the eastern U.S., sad to say. But we start to move further east here. We have this little band of 6 to 12 inches of snowfall stretching from central South Dakota all the way through the lower peninsula of Michigan. This includes Milwaukee, even closer to Sioux Falls, areas like that. Again, very thin band of snowfall. You can see that Chicago is too far south for this, but Minneapolis is a little too far north. So very thin line of 6 to 12 inch totals. We also have our total rainfall. You can see here in pink, these are areas that could be seeing over an inch of rainfall between Sunday into early Monday. And you can see cities such as New Orleans, Mobile, even up towards Jackson, maybe areas closer to Montgomery, Alabama, closer to Macon, Georgia. Those areas could be seeing very intense rainfall. Now, in these blues here, that is a half an inch to an inch of rainfall. This includes Atlanta, Birmingham, up towards Memphis, even more towards Houston. But Houston is more in that green, which is a tenth of an inch to a half an inch. So really where we're looking for flooding rains is right there in those pinks. So that is something we have to look out for. So here's our winter storm severity index here, and basically we are looking for orange, red, purple. We see this large swath of orange in South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. These are the areas where you really want to take precautions, limit your travel, really kind of stay patient with the storm because things could be a little rough out there on the roads. We also see these oranges in the Rockies, mostly in those higher elevations where they could be seeing a foot of snow. These are areas that, in general, if it's snowing, you don't want to be driving there. So, in general, don't drive at these places. Then we move on to our excessive rainfall. This is the area that could be seeing flash flooding. This yellow area is 10 to 20% chance of flash flooding. This includes Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, even up into central Georgia as well. Then in these greens, this is 5 to 10% chance. This includes areas closer to Savannah, Georgia, up towards Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and just around these areas of that 10 to 20%, just an outline basically. So let's move on to my predictions for this storm. So here are my predictions here, and let's just go through them real quick. Starting off with snow. In this light blue, that is a coating to 3 inches of snowfall. In general, these areas mostly going to see lower on the spectrum unless you're really close to this dark blue. Because again, this gradient between nothing and 6 inches is pretty sharp. Now, in that dark blue, that is 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. That's a decent amount of snow, and, especially on the lower end of that spectrum, really not that bad to shovel. On the higher end, a little bit more difficult. Then in this pink, that is 6 to 12 inches. This is where you want to be breaking out that snowblower and really getting that snowfall up there. But again, most of the eastern U.S. is in a snowfall drought, so snow, and when you're in a snow drought, any snow is good snow. Then in the Rocky Mountains here, you have 12 to 24 inches in these purples. These are areas where you would love to go skiing. Just a lot of fresh powder on those slopes. Now for our rainfall. We have in this light green, that is less than a half an inch of rain. Kind of light rain consistently, but really nothing that's going to be too bad. Then in this dark green here, that is a half an inch to an inch. These are the areas where you could see some heavy rainfall at times, but most of the time just light to moderate. Then in this yellow, that is an inch plus. These are areas where you could be seeing heavy rainfall, and maybe even localized areas of 2 inches where you're really going to be seeing that heavy rainfall and potential for flooding. I also have this little area outlined in red. There is a slight icing risk, and in this little area here, that is where you have that risk. But in general, I don't think there's going to be a lot of icing with this event. The main purpose of this event is snow and heavy rain. But that is all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.